Hey guys, it's Donnie here, and I just want to let you know that we've recently launched a content development company, and this company helps people get social content. You know you need to put out a lot of content nowadays to get engagement out there in all your social platforms. Well, we've come up with a really cool way to help you get videos, blog posts, memes, social posters, and infographics for whatever social site you need. So check us out at successchamps.us and learn more about how you can get social content for your social media.
Support for this podcast comes from Point Blank Safety Services and Blue Family Fund. Point Blank Safety Services does safety differently. We know everyone is on a journey, and we want to make sure you get where you're going safely. Professional, trained, ready. There's really no comparison. Here's why hiring Point Blank Safety for your next project will make all the difference and save you huge amounts of stress and hassle. Point Blank Safety Services provides certified, uniformed police officers for a full suite of armed guard services. Don't leave the safety of your project to chance. If you're ready to make sure safety truly comes first for your next project, then visit us at pointblanksafety.com.
You're listening to Donnie Success Champions, where I believe everybody is on a journey. Life is all about the stories you can tell and teach later. You're going to hear the stories of people who have overcome hardships, failures in life to find success along their journey. Hey guys, it's Fridays with Donnie. I'm your host, Donnie Boivin. This is Donnie Success Champions, and today we're going to talk about jumping into the fire. Wow, we made it. It's Friday. What an awesome freaking day. Man, I'm glad you're here listening to this. You know, I'm betting you don't get it to hear it enough. But I want you to know, I'm really freaking proud of you. I'm proud of what you've accomplished. I'm proud of what you've done. And I'm just excited as you continue on your journey. And, as you're going through it, I know you hit tough times. I know you hit those spots where you're like, damn it, what do I do? How do I keep moving forward? I want to throw in the towel. Let me tell you, don't stop. Keep going, because I promise at some point you're going to come back and laugh at all of this, all these trials, all these challenges, and it's all going to be worth it. Here's my story, guys, is I often say you got to jump into the fire. You got to run straight at the things that are freaking you the hell out, because as you're moving on your journey, oftentimes there are a lot of things that you know you should be doing, but you don't. But without doing those things that are freaking you out, that you don't think you're good enough, strong enough, fast enough, whatever, all that stuff that could be the transformation you need in your life, man, if you put that stuff off, and you don't do those things, you won't evolve into the person you need to become. You've got to go straight at it. You've got to go big, right? And I'm going to tell you everything that I've done, or some of the fun things that I didn't do. But you've got to please start betting on yourself, because look, if you don't push yourself, nobody else is going to do it for you. I'm telling you, the world wants you to lose. The world wants you to throw in the towel, because then everybody else can feel good about their life. Misery loves company. You're way better than that. You're a hell of a lot better than that. So don't wait around for the world to show up. You've got to go create it. And man, it's scary, it's crazy, but son of a bitch, it's a lot of fun. Here's what happened. So September of last year, I jumped out on my own. And here's what threw my head is I jumped out and started my own business. I can tell you, I think for the first time in my life, I was really living. Because I remember that drive home. And as I'm driving back to the house, and I had realized that for the first time in my life, it was on me no matter what. And what I mean is, I've always worked for people. I always had jobs. And those jobs were great, and I did really, really well. And I've had some successful careers. But man, at the end of the day, I never went all in. I didn't have to. You know, I was really at that stage of life where good enough was good enough. And on that drive home, as I'm driving towards my house, no income coming in past that point from anybody else, I cried. Oh, yeah, dude. You give me a good sappy chick flick, and I'll tear up. My wife makes fun of me of it all the time. I'm like, yeah, but nobody gets to see that side of me. Well, now everybody gets to know that side of me because I'm telling you, right? But driving home, I cried. And the reason I cried is there was this excitement in the air, and I was absolutely freaking out. And what was going through my head was, can I do this? Am I built for this? Am I strong enough? You know, and I had people around me that I would say most of the people around me basically had the idea of it's about time. It's about time you did your own thing. I did have some close friends, though, that looked at me and said, how are you going to live? How are you going to make money? You know, what are you going to do? You know, and I was firsthand experiencing their fears. Well, what I didn't tell them is those were my fears as well. I mean, I was worried. I was worried about what would happen. You know, could I pull this off? Because there was so many unknowns. There were so many things that I didn't know if I was ready for. I never had to rely on just me. I'd always found the shortcuts in life, and man, there's no shortcut for this one. There is no spot that I can go through to find success. So now I'm on this drive home going, holy shit, I just bet on me. I just did what they said to do in all the books, all the tapes, all the, speeches and conferences. When they said, you've got to go in and you got to bet on yourself, I had just done that. And it scared the shit out of me. I mean, freaked me the hell out. Because when life is up to you, you start learning a lot about yourself. And one of the things that I discovered was simply the fact that I had never really pushed myself in my life. I always had done good enough. And now I was in a spot, well, there was no good enough, right? I had to perform. So I remember getting home and telling my wife that night that I was, doing this, and she cried. And she cried for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't really tell her. I didn't really tell her that this is what I was going to do. I kind of dropped it on her. And I think the reason was she's always supported me, and I love her for that. And she's always believed that I'm going to do it. But she's got to live through all this stuff, right? She's going to live through my chaotic lifestyle of win-loss. And she is always right there. And she's really good about saying the right things at the right time. And she looked right at me. She goes, man, I have total faith in you. I know you'll succeed, but I'm not going to lie. This scares the shit out of me. And I know that's so wild to hear because you always hear about these gurus who their wives were always, excited for this and they were ready to go up. My wife was realistic and I love her for it. She was like, all right, you got to make this work. Let's go. And it was so cool because I had her support and her fear, warrantly so, and I was getting geared up. I remember that next morning waking up, and now I'm a business owner. And the first thought out of my head was, what the hell do I do? What does it mean to be a business owner? And I can hear people all around me, that were like, oh, you got to have a business plan and a mission statement and a vision statement, and you got to have core values, and you got to have all of this stuff. Yeah, I had none of that. I didn't have a sales process, a marketing plan. I just had me. And you guys have probably heard the story before. I thought that was going to be enough. I really thought that was going to be, because Donnie is awesome in my own dream fantasy land, I really thought that was going to be enough. Well, it wasn't. And I still don't like all the business plans, mission, vision statement stuff. I'm sure that works for some people. But for my business, I didn't have direction. I just knew that I wasn't going to find direction in my life working for somebody else. Because working for somebody else, I knew I could find the shortcuts. And now, there is no shortcuts. I eliminated that option. And so I was going to have to bet on me. And so, here I am, a business owner with no direction, no idea what the hell I'm doing, and almost everybody around me thought, damn, he's just going to succeed. And I went off on the journey. I mean, if you've ever heard the hero's journey, if you haven't listened to that, go find that. This was my quest. And I could tell you, I forgot a key point of the hero's journey. I didn't seek out a guide. I was just going out on my own. And in my head, I was like, I got this. We'll just wing it and see what happens. Yeah, that's how cocky I am. So we went, and out the gate, I will say, thank God for some really close friends that jumped with me. But those early wins in the first couple months of the business were highly successful. And those were awesome. And I loved it. But the same token, they gave me this false sense of badassery. They gave me this false sense of this is going to come easy. And I thought it was just going to continue stacking up. Well, yeah, that didn't happen either. And so the first couple months were freaking fantastic, but I hadn't gotten punched in the face by life yet. And then I did. Going into January of 2018, those were some dark times. And here's why. Because I was about to get really punched in the face. I was about to learn that I wasn't a business owner. I'd created a job for myself, and not even a sales job. It was rough. Financially, And here's the awesome thing about all that. The absolute cool thing that I found was I was figuring out me. I was starting to learn all the stuff that I'd always read. I was starting to figure out how I was made, how I was built, how my mind thought. And that's when I finally understood that if you don't go straight into your fear, you'll never figure yourself out. Because people tell you all the time that you got to look inside and see what makes you tick and just question why you do things and wonder and all of this stuff. Man, I can tell you I tried everything in the world. I tried journaling, meditation. I tried coaches, mentors, surrounding yourself with badasses. I tried it all. And you know what finally worked for me? Yeah. Getting punched in the face by life. Screwing up so bad. But I had no options but to move forward. And dude, I can tell you the day I discovered that I wasn't a business owner, was a depressing day. I realized I was adamantly failing at this whole thing. I was losing the battle. And it sucked. Because see, all my life, I have been told a couple of things. I've been told, well, we'll exclude 4 years in high school, maybe junior high. But I've been told that I was going to be successful. I've been told I'd be a great salesperson. I have been told that I'm a good speaker. I've been told I'm a good trainer. But I'm not sure I ever really bought into all that. Maybe the opposite of that is true. Maybe I did buy into all that, because that day I found out that I wasn't a business owner was the moment that I'd realized that I'd bought my own bullshit for too many years. And I really figured out that I wasn't any of those things because I'd never become those things. I'd never evolved into that person everybody already saw. And I remember a lot of my early public speaking, I was constantly telling people that, you know, you all have fans and you need to become the person that your fans already think you are and step into that. And I realized that I hadn't. I was still playing employee mindset Donnie. And it just wasn't doing anything for me. See, that's the point I really learned. That the person you are right now is not the person that you need to become to get where you want to go. I'd spent 20 years being the same guy. Not really evolving. Now, yeah, I got better in some areas. I got better in some ways. But I had not evolved. And now I was in a spot that I had to evolve. It was so wild to finally meet me. To finally meet the guy that has been walking around with me my entire journey. And I gotta be honest, I didn't like what I found. And it was because I had realized that I'd half-assed it. So now it was time to pull my boots on and starting up in my game. And here we go. So I did a couple of things. I started doing a lot of stupid things. I started doing things that I thought would help me shock the system, because one of the things I discovered is by always playing it safe, I never found my processes. I never found my things. And so I started taking bigger risks. Let me tell you, I went so far into taking risks that I almost lost it all. I almost lost the farm, my trucks. My wife, God love her, would never leave me. But, yeah. But I had to go and risk it all to start building this thing and start building this business. And it was in the midst of all of this craziness that I started becoming a business owner. That I started to understand this idea of being an entrepreneur. That I had to start becoming what I call puppet master. And what the puppet master does is he is the one that stands at the top of the company like a marionette strings and guide all of his badasses that work for him. And I'm not saying that they're puppets and they're mindless or anything like that. What I'm saying is I wasn't guiding my teams, my people. I was trying to continually work a job. And guys, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner right now, I guarantee you're doing things that somebody else should be doing. And if you're doing the mundane things for your business, you're not growing your business. And these are the things that I was learning. I mean, perspective. I now have 2 VAs, a podcast editor, a copy editor, and a team of people that are helping with content development. And my job as a CEO of my company is to bring in enough business through the content development stuff to help keep revenue coming through the company so I can pay all these people. My job is not to sit down and edit these podcasts. My job is not to sit down and create content. My job is to bring in the business. Make sure the business keeps moving forward and we protect the brand. That's a hard thing to embrace because as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you're constantly trying to not spend too much money and not spend more than you have. So you try and do things yourself. Well, when you do things yourself, that's playing it safe. Because every time I did something myself and I didn't outsource it, I wasn't selling. And my business was moving backwards. You have to jump into the fire. Because I promise, and what I mean by jumping in the fire is you've got to face your fears and go straight at them. Because when you do, well, when you go straight at them, you're going to find out what you're made of, and you're going to finally learn what's holding you back. Look, you can't look at the world and say, I want to be X, I want to do X, and then stay you. If you want to conquer the world and get to wherever you want to get in life, then you've got to do things to freak yourself out. Because you've got to rattle the cage. You've got to get the mind flowing. You've got to light a fire under your ass so you can move forward. Because I promise you that understanding of yourself, then You don't know what you don't know. So I'm going to try and give you some tactics, but it's really hard to give you tactics because I don't know what you're afraid of. Only you do. And I got to be honest, I didn't know what I was afraid of. I can tell you, success was one of them. And it's because I didn't understand what that meant. I thought being successful would mean a ton more responsibility. And it does, don't get me wrong. But as I continue to climb, I'm continuing to build processes. I'm continuing to put things in place to where I can manage, where I can move. Success for me is about overcoming. It's about overcoming those fears. It's about overcoming the obstacles. And it's not about being fearless. In the words of Tim Ferriss, it's about fearing less. And that's what I'm doing. So the first thing you have to do is figure out what you're afraid of. And I promise it's not something as simple as public speaking. I'm sure a lot of you have that fear. I'm betting it's a hell of a lot bigger than that. And that's what you've got to discover. So what I want you to do is I want you to picture yourself in that successful spot. Wherever success is for you, and I want you to go there. See, I used to picture myself on these big stages in front of large crowds, and it would bring such bliss and delight. It would bring such joy inside of me that I could feel like I was there, right? That didn't bring up the fears. That felt good. But when I started taking action to do the things that I needed to do to get there, man, let me tell you, that's when the fears pop up. Because see, my speaking career up to that point, I never needed a speaker one sheet. I never needed a speaker reel. I never needed to cold call people really to get speaking engagements. I mean, they typically found me. And now I was at a spot, and add in there, I was really teaching somebody else's content most of that time. So now I had to create it all. And when I first looked at doing all of that, oh my God, it felt overwhelming. It just felt like such a daunting task. Because I didn't know for sure what I was going to talk about. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know the calls to actions. I didn't, there was so many things I did not know. So I had to begin. And here's some things I learned quickly. I like the creation. I hate the work. So when I say things like, you've got to figure out your fears, is you've got to do the scariest, craziest things to figure it out. And once again, I'm not talking about jumping out of an airplane, scary, stupid things like that. I'm talking about the big, crazy stuff. Extreme things like I did and up and walk away from your company and have no income coming in. Because without those scary things, you will not figure out what makes you tick. I mean, I have a client I'm working with right now, and we've been working together for about 6 months. And I can tell you, I love how far he's come and how much he's evolved. Because when we first sat down, he looked at me and said, I think confidence is my biggest issue. And I said, confidence isn't your biggest issue. You're confident as hell. You lack experience. And he looked at me like I had two heads. And if you didn't just hear that, let me say it again. Confidence is never the problem. It's lack of experience. Confidence comes after you do something. So me and this client have been working together, and man, for his company, he had no sales processes. He had no business development processes. He didn't have any marketing processes. And he was coming to me to work on confidence. But we found his confidence that was always there by forcing him to get into situations and learning over and over. And I remember him always saying, if I could just get one deal from start to finish. And now he's done it several times over. But when he thought about the sales side of things, because he's an engineer guy, when he thought about the sales side of things, he's like, but what are they going to see in me? I can't talk to a CEO of a company because I've never been a CEO of the company, right? This was his fears coming out because he was going to have to do something so major, which is, do things like cold calls and reach out through LinkedIn and, create his own workshops, all things he hadn't done before. And guys, I can't tell you how many conversations him and I had saying this is all part of the process. And now he kind of looks back and laughs. And I constantly said, we should have recorded these for how you started out, because that would be great material for other people to see what you've gone through on your journey. And, he is thriving right now. And it's all because he evolved. It's all because he got himself through the processes and started doing the things that he needed to do to figure out what his business is. What's his business model? But it's thinking about his business and going straight at the things that were freaking him out. And that's what you need to do. You want to figure out what's holding you back. Look at your business and go, what's the craziest thing I can do right now to grow it? And whatever that crazy thing is, start and then get ready. Because all those fears are going to pop right to the surface. And they're going to boil up. And the only reason they boil up is because you never faced them before. I'm still learning to be a business owner. I'm still learning to grow a successful company. But things are clicking. Right? And I'm starting to do processes. And I'm starting to put things in place. And it's all because I've been going through it and learning and going again. I had a guest on the show not too long ago, and their episode will air in December. But our conversation basically boiled around this. We found some success because we were too dumb to quit. Man, most people give up on life when they're so close to breaking through. When they're so close to finding themselves. And I just had a thought that I'm going to share with you. Success is not about what you have, it's about what you overcome. And I truly believe that. But it's also about evolving. and becoming something more, because if someday somebody's going to look at me and come back and go, man, he's an overnight success, I'm going to be like, man, come back and listen to my podcast because I'm taking you guys along for the journey. Yeah, I've got big ambitions. Yeah, I've got some cool things. But I've got to continue to evolve. I've got to continue to grow. And that's what I'm doing. I mean, that's how I'm pushing forward. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to evolve with me. Grow. But you can't do it just sitting there being you. You've got to evolve. I want you to sit back and look at your entire life and ask yourself a question. And be honest, man. Don't lie to yourself. Have you really gone all in? Have you jumped into your fire and figured out what you're made of? Or have you gone through life just being good enough? And it's not about 16, 20-hour days. It's about doing the things that need to get done. And going again. And again. And again. I love Peter Dinklage's speech. Just type in Peter Dinklage fail better. And it's a powerful damn speech. Because he talks about it in there. It's somebody else's thoughts, not his. But it's fail again. Fail better. That means you're evolving because you're trying in a different and better way. You're doing bigger and better things. And guys, everybody that has found some level of success kept pushing. And they kept pushing themselves because nobody else is going to push you. Nobody else is going to challenge you. I hear too many business owners out there saying, I need X and my business will succeed. No, you need to freaking evolve and your business and you will succeed. It's on you. Unleash and go for it. Unravel your freaking wings and fly, damn it. You are made for so much more than you're currently at. Such higher levels than you've achieved. You are meant to be a badass. Go climb the mountains. Go show the world how freaking awesome you are. Let them see your greatness. Let your story become your success. And watch what happens. Go big and loud, guys.
Thanks for listening to Donnie's Success Champions podcast. If you'd like to hear more about our current guest today, or if you'd like to hear stories from our other guests on the show, come hang out with us on our website at successchampspodcast.com. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you need to reach out to me for any reason, you can catch me at Donnie@DonnieBoivin.com.